Monkey fam, hope everyone's having a great Saturday and a nice weekend so far. Checking in on the Monkey project. We are at 267,000 market cap, which is down slightly from yesterday. And I've got the zoomed out chart here. You can kind of see we're hopefully settling in here with a little bit of a higher floor than we saw a few weeks back. And as I mentioned, time is on our side. The community and holder base keeps on getting stronger. And we have a couple posts here where folks are talking about how conviction gets stronger over time when you're in a coin for a while, which I think is going to be in our favor when we start our run at some point here. And I just want to say, stick to the plan. The monkey setup is still perfect. I don't think there's any change to the narrative. And the situation that we're in, it seems like it just gets better over time, in my opinion. So the narrative hasn't changed. So if your sentiment, your feelings about the project have changed, you need to look at, why you're feeling that way because the setup is still perfect. Maybe a little bit of impatience, maybe chasing green candles or seeing other things that are out there, seeing the daily runner and wishing you were in that type of thing. But if you think about it, those are all issues that we have to deal with at a personal level, right? The narrative hasn't changed. Monkey's still strong. The community is still great. Narrative's still good. Mind share's still high. Market cap's low. That great community. The top holders that we've looked at, the top 40 holders are solid and sticking around. And it's just a unique animal play. And animals are always popular. And the meta might change and rotate around and everyone eventually comes back to animals. Everyone has a soft spot for animals. I think that's going to play in our favor as we move forward. Don't forget Monday at 1 Eastern, there's going to be a monkey space. So stop by and say hi to the community. And we'll have a number of folks on there. If you want to talk, you can. If you want to just listen, that's fine. We'll record it. And hope everyone can make it. I'll send a reminder out. But again, it's Monday at 1 Eastern. Let's take a look at the news here. All right, so first Y says, be delusional enough to believe that it's possible. Be disciplined enough to prove yourself right. And so I think that's a great post because it talks about the balance between just belief, blind belief, but then also the discipline to follow through. So we can believe Monkey's gonna go to a billion, which I do, but we have to be disciplined enough to prove ourselves right. And that means shilling, working, and keeping the engagement up, encouraging others in the community. So there's still a lot of work to be done, even though we know we've settled on the right coin, right? There's tons of good coins and good narratives and perfect setups that never pan out to anything because the folks involved don't follow through. So let's keep pushing and be disciplined enough to prove that we're correct about our monkey thesis. Rumi says one of the most underrated skills you can learn is the ability to ignore your mood and stick with the plan. And that's kind of what I talked about at the beginning of the video. We need to stick with the plan. If we feel down because of the chart or discouraged because we see other stuff moving up or FUD comes in, we just need to ignore our mood and stick with the plan, which is buy, hold, and shill monkey. It's simple. If we do that, I think we have a great shot of reaching our goals and probably even further than we ever thought possible. But we have to stick with the plan, which is when we're in an accumulation zone, keep on accumulating. That's what it's there for. That sideways trading here, from here to here, that's an accumulation zone. And so, I mean, that's the plan is to accumulate when it's dipping like that because we believe in the long-term prospects of the project. Ty Lopez says what you want out of life is probably 6 to 18 months away if you keep working, be patient. So we have to have that patience, but then also keep working. It's not gonna run on its own. Sometimes that can happen. There could be luck involved. But remember, we're out here making our own luck. We're posting, we're shilling. We could get the right person to reply. Who knows, right? Or the right holder to come in, and then the copy traders come in. But we need to keep on working and give it some time. Be patient. And on that same topic, Luke here says everyone wants to be rich, but yet no one wants to put in the work. We want the end goal, but we're not willing to do what's required to get there. And even with the meme coin, yeah, they inexplicably run sometimes And I think that's possible for Monkey for sure. But more likely than not, we're going to have to put in the work. We're going to have to keep on chilling, working, putting out content. And so every little bit we do matters. And so, shout out to the folks that keep on working, grinding, and bag working. That's what we need at this point. That plus patience. That's how we get to the riches that we're looking for. Mirage says things will get silly once the market begins to punish those who refuse to buy the dips. The market will soon prove to those hesitant to take risk that it is actually riskier not to take said risk. Take a risk, fortune favors the brave. That's what I'm doing with Monkey. I'm buying the dip consistently just because I know where we're going. Of course, there's always risk in any type of trade like this, but look at the huge upside potential that we have here. And remember, we somewhat control how high we can go by the work we put in. So I say it's worth the risk because of the great setup and the huge potential of Monkey. I know what we're capable of and where we're going, and that's why I've taken the risk. Levis says bid cult communities. I think this is the key, and folks are understanding. Bid the cult communities. The community is not going to let you down. We can't guarantee the price movement, but we can put in the work, put in the effort, have that energy, and that's what comes with a cult community like Monkey. Virtual Bacon says every cycle has one narrative people ignore because it feels uncomfortable. It doesn't fit the hype. It doesn't sound exciting. Those are often the best trades. I think that's the animal plays like Monkey. It's not going to be AI or whatever other trend is there. It's just a timeless trend. It's always going to be popular, but folks will hesitate because other animal coins aren't running or something like that. If everything shifts to animals, then it's easy to see. But right now, it might feel a little bit uncomfortable to sit in Monkey, sit in the animal play, because it's not part of the hype that we're seeing, like for instance, for the AI meta. But these are often the best trades, as Virtual Bacon says. I think that's where we're at with Monkey. And now, especially at this market cap, I'm loading up. Shadow says forever bullish on bag workers, believers, and MFers who don't give up. And I agree with that. This will never go out of style. Being bullish and working your bag, believing in something and not giving up. And that's what we need to do here. We've got a great coin and a great opportunity here. We just need to not give up. Malvin had some encouraging words here. It says, you grind for years with nothing to show. Parents think you're crazy. Then 1 year, just 1 year, everything explodes. All those wasted years suddenly make sense. Dear son, your breakthrough is coming. That's how I feel about Monkey, is people think, oh, these Monkey guys are crazy. But Monkey's not dead. We know that. Monkey won't die, and it's unkillable. And one day it's going to make complete sense. And it's going to be quick, though, right? And this says you grind for years. You know, put in the meme coin time frame. This could be months, right? That we're grinding with the sideways trading, accumulating. Then all of a sudden it makes complete sense. And it's going to happen fast. I don't think it's going to be in just 1 year. I think it's going to be in weeks or months for Monkey. Andy Leon says, when you're ready with your community army, you will be unstoppable. That's how I feel about Monkey. With the community, we're unstoppable. We're only limited if we limit ourselves. Miyamoto says that one coin destined to billions doesn't go there with tourists. They must get shaken. Only the deserving make it to the top. So what he's talking about here is all of this here. The tourists were in. They're excited. They got shaken out. Now we're down here. And that's where you need to go before you make it. That's how you get to $1 billion coin. The tourists have to be out. You know why? Because when we start pumping, the believers will hold and let the chart run. And that's the key, is if we believe we're going so much higher, we're not going to sell it 2 million or whatever. We're going to let the chart run, and that's how you get to a billion. You don't get there if there's a bunch of short-term people with that mindset in the coin. They have to get shaken out, and they've gotten shaken out here. Virtual Bacon, the best trades are usually uncomfortable at entry. Buying Monkey back here felt good, right? It's pumping, volume's up, everything looks good. Here's a little bit uncomfortable. People who aren't involved with the project might look at it and say, I don't know where this one's going. Now we know because we're involved, but that's the best trade, is the uncomfortable one. CZ says a crypto supercycle is possible. CZ says Trump will do everything to make the stock market do well, expecting liquidity to spill over into crypto. If stocks do well, it's usually good for crypto. He said opening the door to a possible super cycle, and this is what we've been saying for months here, is that Trump is the ultimate bag worker in some ways. He's going to pump the stock market, whether it's through the Federal Reserve or other stimulus, whatever he needs to do, he's going to pump the stock market, and that just bodes really well for crypto also. And so I agree with CZ here. There's definitely a chance for a super cycle, and I'm bullish on the next 3 years. Goldie, I thought this was a good post. Says the risk takers run the world, bros. There's no deep secret. You need skin in the game ASAP. Thinking gets you lapped. Nature is cruel to the weak and timid. Move. And so this goes back to taking the risk on something like Monkey, knowing the potential, and then working to make that thing happen. Gordon has something similar. It separates winners from losers. Winners accumulate during consolidation. Losers wait for the breakout. Bitcoin sitting at 95K for days. Boring, right? Tell that to the whales who added 32,700 Bitcoin while you scroll next. By the time it's exciting, you're late. By the time you're comfortable, your exit liquidity. Totally agree with that, especially here with Monkey. Now's the time. We load up when things are calm, when things are boring. This is when we load up. That way we're not messing around with it when the chart starts looking like this. We're established. We've got our bags packed and we're ready. Cryptoshi says if you can't handle the minus 60, minus 70, or even minus 80% corrections, then you don't deserve the plus 5,000%. I agree with that. We've hung in there. We're ready, and we're ready for that 5,000% increase. Crypto Fergani had a good post here. Says if you've survived a few crypto cycles, you already know the truth. It's not tech, it's not timing, it's not even utility, it's the communities. The diehard believers. Projects fade, narratives shift, hype dies, but passion compounds. This cycle belongs to meme coins with unbreakable communities. I think we have one of those communities with Monkey. I think we have one of the lower market caps for the cult communities. And what he says here is true. Passion compounds, meaning it's just going to get bigger and bigger as we go on. And I think, the longer this stage lasts, the stronger our conviction gets, the bigger our bags get, and that's what will enable us to run, in my opinion. Taz says here, crypto bros can grind for months, lose hundreds of hours of sleep, get rugged 27 times, go broke, go insane, and still wake up believing that the future will be amazing. I'm at that point here. I do think the future for Monkey will be amazing because I believe in the project and the community, and I think the setup is still just too perfect. All that mind share we built up, all that hard work is still there. It doesn't go away because we keep on moving and not letting folks forget about Monkey. And because of that and the great community, I think we have an excellent chance, like I said, once we get that catalyst to run to the billions, and that's the goal here. So look forward to seeing everybody or chatting with everybody, I should say, on Monday at 1 Eastern. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.